Start. Very good. I already got it. No, good. Good. Okay. I call this meeting to order. I'm going to start by saluting the flag. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, time to get the meeting started. Welcome back, everybody, to our November meeting. All right, so first up, what do we got here? That we have, yes, President's message. So I'm going to just speak on here really quick. I got a couple of things I will read to you tonight on behalf of Good of the Society. We'll get to that later on. Before we start the meeting, we're going to have the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting, which was in September. We didn't meet for October because we had our convention a week before October, because normally our convention would be in November, but now we switched it to September, which was a better thing. We have more daylight and it's much warmer out and whatnot. So this is the meetings are going to be in November now. So moving on, we're going to have the reading of the minutes of the September meeting by Secretary Amanda Daniels. Hopefully my son is not acting up because he's still awake, unfortunately. So, Amanda, where are you?
Hi, good evening, everybody. The September 5th meeting of the O&W Historical Society was called to order by President Joseph Sinisi at 7 p.m. There were 85 members online and 20 in person. Minutes of the last meeting were read by Secretary Amanda Daniels and were accepted as read. 2026 officer nominations: President Joseph Sinisi, Vice President Alan Held, Treasurer Mark Kenna, Recording Secretary Amanda Daniels, Trustees Bob Earl and Mark Kenna. November 7th meeting is the last day for nominations. Membership report by Alan Held reveals that we have a grand total of 443 members, and we inducted one new member into our society. Treasurer report by Mark Kenna reveals that we have $5,587.75 in the checking account, $185,765.44 in the Merrill Lynch account, for a grand total of $191,353.09. The 2025 banquet and convention is September 21st at the Outer Kill Club. Doors open at 10:30. Archive report and reprint by Bob Earl. Bob Earl wasn't present, but we showed a reprint of how many employees were active employees in 1956. Publications by Carl Olson. Calendar update. The 2026 calendar is laid out. We are looking for colored postcards for the calendar. Newsletter and website by Ron. There was no update. Roscoe Museum and Facebook report by Joey. Joey read an excellent letter from the museum. The museum got an updated look, and our Facebook page continues to grow. The 105 project by Norm Barrett. The project continues to move along. Water lines were cleaned. Smaller projects will be worked on, and the next work session is next week. Sales table by Walt. Sales table report. He was in Summitville and sold a book for $50, and he was at a Carbondale show and it brought in $85, and he was also in Port Jervis, which brought in $60. Hold on, baby boy. Mail order sales by Ray Kelly. Retail sales were at $60.42. Hold on, baby boy.
Bye.
Okay. Sorry. Old business. Construction of the O&W station continues, and it's at the bidding phase.
My first has a face.
Okay, hold on. New business, there was nothing to report. For the good of the society, the NYO&W book is being published by Peter Brill. Current railroad topics, Steedtown had their Rail Fest and they had a big turnout. Collector's Corner, Joey showed one of his lanterns from his collection. Modeler's Workbench, the next meeting of the MNRA is September 20th at 10 a.m. at the Mulberry House Senior Center. The next meeting is November 7th at 7 p.m. at the Middletown Senior Center with a program by Mal Helk, submitted by Amanda Daniels. Thank you guys for cooperating.
Well, thank you for the report, honey, Amanda. You can see our son is he's awake tonight. He's actually got a head cold, so he's kind of, fighting to go to sleep at night, and waking up early. So she does her best to do what she can. All right, so yeah. So moving on. Any additions or corrections to the reading of the minutes?
Joey?
Okay. Yes.
The trustees, she just mentioned Bob Earl and me. There's also Ron Vasallo. And then.
Oh, yeah, for the nominations, right?
Sorry,
Right,
guys.
and then, we were the three incumbents getting nominated, but then Arnold Restivo was also nominated and seconded. So we have 4 people for 3 positions as of that.
Right.
meeting.
So it's Bob Earl, Ray Kelly, yourself, right?
No, Bob Earl, me, Ron, and Arnold Restivo.
Okay, hold on one second.
Write that down, please.
Yeah, I am right now. Stevo, Bob Earl, Arnold Restivo, and who?
Ron.
Ronnie.
Okay, and what did I say, Mark?
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be coming up, Bob.
Okay.
All right. So Bob Earl, Arnold Restivo, and then Ron. Yeah. When we get to the end of the meeting, we'll do the nominations and then, close them out for the thing here. So, okay. Well, thank you for the corrections there. All right. Motion to accept the minutes is read. A very good second. Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So moved. Next, we have we'll do officer nominations right now, actually. He hasn't, I think I thought he put it at the end, so I apologize. Yeah, Mark, do you want to take care of this? You want to read this off?
Yeah, so right now, to close out, I'm just going to go down. If there's anyone else that nomination for president, you can nominate someone now. Otherwise, if there's no one, we'll close that out. So any nominations for president?
And we'll accept nominations online as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So either the chat,
Sure.
Q&A.
Oh, we're good with that. So moving on to vice president. If anybody, nothing for vice president. All right. So we're going to move on to, what's it? Secretary.
Treasurer.
Yes. Secretary, treasurer. Well, treasurer. I'm sorry. Yeah, treasurer. And very good. So moving on to secretary. Okay. And then moving on to the trustees.
Okay, now just the one thing, since subsequent to that September meeting, Bob Earl has removed himself from running again. So he's out, and it's just myself, Ron, and Arnold. So if there are going to be any other nominations, just a reminder that that person will have to have served as a elected or nominated officer for a 1-year term previously.
Correct. All right. So we have any, what's that?
Can you hold an office and be a trustee?
Oh, yeah, no, you can hold an office and be a trustee, absolutely, yeah. But in order to be a trustee, you would have had to hold some type of position before. Arnold qualifies because he was the O&WRHS
Representative.
representative. Yep.
He's already elected.
Yeah. Well, we don't have any
Three
other names.
positions for 3 candidates.
So I think we should move on. I think we're good there.
then we're closed out.
I
Yep.
make a motion to close nominations at this time.
And I'll second it. So, all right. Nominations are closed.
All in favor?
All in favor? Very good. So moved. Thank you, everybody. All right. So moving on, we're going to do the treasurer's report. Mark, that's you again, Mark Kenna.
Dates
Okay,
incorrect,
and I
but
just see the slide has the correct dollars amount, but the wrong date. So this information is
Yep, it's okay. It should be
Okay.
11/07.
October 31st. This is as of. So the Bank of America with $8,891.07. Merrill Lynch $183,923.72 for a total of $192,814.79.
Wow. All right.
Just a reminder, we have money in there. That's for the 105 fund. That's a little over 29,000. There's going to be probably another $10,000 to $12,000 of bills that will be paid before year end.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for that. Motion to accept the treasurer's report is read. Okay, very good. Second it. Excellent. All in favor? All right. So moved. Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Moving on. Membership report. Alan Held.
So as of today, we have 425 total members with one new. New member Brett Stoddard of Chesapeake, Virginia. I'd like to make a motion that we accept this new member to our society.
Yep. So I'll second that. All in favor? All right. So moved.
Now that the nominations have closed, renewals will be going out in the mail. I'll coordinate here with Mark and Ron and the gang here to try to get the envelopes mailed out sometime shortly. And, we will also send out renewals to members that did not renew for the previous year. So
Right, because this is the total amount of members who are paying. Yep. This does not include the members that didn't pay. It'd be like 480.
we will send it out to the 2024 list as well.
Okay, very
If
good.
people want to renew for 2026, then
Send them a reminder.
we'll honor the previous membership and,
Absolutely.
so.
Not a problem. Very good. Thank you for the report, Alan. Moving on. Oh,
For the mailing party. Gonna need,
here. Take care.
He's got one right there.
Okay, make sure it's on.
it's on, okay. Just a point for the mailing party, we're gonna need the labels run off. And I
Okay.
don't know who did it last year.
The labels run off?
Yeah, basically the labels you peel off and put on the envelopes. I think we can run them on our, the computer in the archives or the printer in the archives. But I don't know about the program or whatever, so we may need some help with that. I'll get the stuff printed off. I can go to the printer and get that.
So we're gonna need some volunteers for a mailing party like we always do.
Yeah, but the labels have to be printed.
But the labels have to be printed.
Yeah.
The,
So,
Unless we're
the
handwriting
labels,
involved.
just one thing
Yeah.
with the labels, if you have the Excel file that has the names and addresses, there's something in there, and I'm not real familiar with it because I'm a Mac guy, not a PC guy, but there is something in Mail Merge that if you put in the Avery label number, then it will take that mailing list and it will format it to the Avery mailing labels that we have so that they can get printed out in the archives.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I
how it
keep
was
them
done
in that.
last year, but I don't remember who it was that.
Yeah. I'll.
I don't remember who it was either.
The day before we do it, I'll have an updated Excel file with the entire membership. We'll do
oh
the
no, we're gonna do this well before that.
the day before the mailing party
No,
or
It
whatever.
has to be done.
Right. Well, whenever we're going to do the printing, the day before we do the printing, I'll have the most up to date list, and we'll do it off
All
of
right.
that.
You
So-
guys stay in touch with that then.
Yep.
All right, very good. Awesome. Good point out there, Bob. All right, so the 2025 banquet convention, we had a wonderful time. The food was fantastic. We had a great turnout. And one of our longtime members, Charlie Briner, was at the convention, and it was been a while since we've seen him, and it was a wonderful thing. He was our guest of honor. He received the award, the John Hobbs Award, and he also received a lifetime membership for the O&W Historical Society. With all his work that him and the late Bill Scott did with our trip guides, Charlie goes back to the 1960s, I think, right? It was the 1960s. He's been a member, so he's been around a long time, and it was really great to see him. He's retired. He's actually in assisted living, but he made the trip and he had a wonderful time. And when we presented him the award, when his name was read, the look on his surprise on his face was just amazing. He was just so full of just so much joy and excitement. And it was well deserved. This man did so much to preserve the history of the New York, Ontario, and Western Railroad, and we are grateful 10 times over for all the things that he's done for this historical society.
Let's not forget Walt as well.
And Walt as well. That's right. Walter too.
Who received the award.
Yes, Walter also received the award. So we thank these guys, and yes, that's a little round of applause for everybody. We are always looking for volunteers because unfortunately, you see in the picture, Charlie is he's in assisted living. He's got his part of his leg was amputated. He can't make our meetings anymore. Walter's still running around with the sales table. Eventually we're going to need more help. So please, if anybody wants to volunteer, whether it's the archives or the sales table or anything to help out, these gentlemen, please, we're always looking for volunteers, which we're also looking for a couple other things, but I'll get to those later. Going back to the convention, the programs were fantastic. I want to thank Mal Howard for doing his amazing programs on his modeling and everything that he did. Mal did a phenomenal job, and of course, Mal is going to be our speaker tonight for tonight's program. We highly suggest that you come to the people who couldn't make it this past year to the convention to try to make it a point to come for 2026. We're already all booked for the convention, so and we'll, of course, as we go along, we'll have more information on that. Yeah, we don't, this is all brand new. We don't know what the theme's going to be and whatnot. So, but it was a wonderful time. Great time talking about the O&W with our good friends, and it was just a wonderful night. 55 people were in attendance. Yeah, pretty little light normal, but that's okay. So it was a lot of people who couldn't make it this year. Moving on, the archives. Bob, and you have the archives reprint tonight. Yep, and then you got the microphone up there on the thing.
Let's see. If you can hear me. First off, the reprint came up on the use of boxcars and such from 1929, and was especially interesting having to do with the charcoal loading. The series 5001 to 5070 basically were dedicated to charcoal service, which was a dirty, filthy service, and they wanted to use up the cars in that. So anyway, that's what this reprint is. I think Henry's got enough to give it to everybody. You got enough to give to everybody, right? Okay, all right. I guess I can continue on then with the report of the archives, if I can. Okay, where is it here? Oh, bear with me a second.
You handing those out?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And
you have anything to talk about what's going on in the archive? Any updates or anything? Or
yes. I had a whole write-up, and here we go. Okay. Ron Vasallo sent out a number 35 in a series of From the Archives, and a lot of you see that, and it just goes by or whatever, and we got a special request for that. A couple of years back, we decided that we wanted to.
Here you are. Now you're there. Okay, you're good. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Okay.
All right, we got Mal on, so we're good.
okay.
All right. We
I muted
decided
you, Mal, but you're good. Thank you.
we wanted to get a lot of the information out and available to the members. There was a comment that other societies have much more available to the members online and such. So we decided we wanted to do things like put our employee timetables, the public timetables, annual reports. They've all been scanned. They're all should be or will be available for members to log in and look at. And then we're starting with the summer homes and also some of the manuals. With that in mind, I got to give a very big thank you to Steve Cohen, who a couple of years back when we were deciding to do all this, we tasked him with, or tasked him, I should say, not taxed, tasked him with doing research on what programs were available out there to scan books and such. you can't take something like a summer homes found and you can't put it on a flatbed scanner like we have. And nobody wants to chop up a one-of-a-kind summer homes in order to scan it. You've lost that forever. And Steve came up with a system using a camera and digital software, digital camera and software. And went even further that he bought a system, tried it, and when he felt it was good enough, he brought it up here and gave it to the archive. So that was a big thank you. And one of the problems how should I put it? If you have a complete, let's say, summer homes, is not unheard of, or as you're going through the whole thing, to miss a page, get a page not quite right, even though it's as good as you can get it. So we needed some ability to edit these scans. And Steve, once again, looked at different programs, tested one of the programs on some stuff I sent him, and then turned around and got a license to the program. So now I can, when I scan something and I know the screw ups I made or what's got to be changed or whatever, we can do that. So thank you again for Steve. There is kind of an issue in that you don't get perfect scans with this. You don't get a flat, beautiful image. You get something you can research. You get something you can go into and look at words and the searchable, but it's not perfect. So with that in mind, on from the archives number 35, which all of you should have access to on the website, we put on a O&W maintenance rule book from May 15th, 1913, and in 1904 summer homes. These are what we can do, the best we can do. And then I want everybody to look at that, go online, look at that, and get your comments back. I've only got comments from like 8 people so far. So I very much want to ask all the members to go on from the archives number 35, look at everything, and I want your comments, good or bad. You know, my point is I'm about to go into doing a lot of summer homes work, but if it's not going to be acceptable, or maybe not, you know, so take a look at all that stuff, and whether it's acceptable or not, I'd like your feedback.
You got 100% support from the webmaster.
Okay, I appreciate that. I've only had one, and it wasn't a negative report, but kind of concerned somewhat about the detail and some of the drawings. So, but please, everybody, go on, take a look at it, and let me know good or bad. Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Hey, Arnold, they can't hear you if you're gonna ask the question.
I'm sorry.
We got spare ones.
Okay, that's all right. You can.
So, you were putting the annual reports on and stopped at 1920. Do you know when you're gonna finish up the rest of them?
Ron, you want to answer that, Ron? Oh, Ron.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the annual reports. Do you know when you're going to be able to put the rest of them on? They've all been scanned, I believe.
Oh, yeah, I'll get to them. Just be patient, okay?
All right. And I'm going to flood you with other stuff too, so be worried.
Yeah, no. I have it's sitting right on my desktop, and I just have to get to it. I have it right here, annual reports, and I think I'm up to in the teens somewhere or early 20s. So I will work on getting the rest of them up.
Okay, after that, we've got our timetables, public and employee, and then we're going to start flooding you with summer homes and manuals, all kinds of stuff.
That's fine.
Okay.
Flood me.
Well, this is good that all this is going to develop. This is a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people have been asking for. So this is great. This is a big step into the future of the archives. This is great.
I have another question. So I know that the archives are asking for color postcards, but how do you deliver them? And I don't have a great scanner. I only have a handheld scanner.
Yeah.
I guess I'd have to come to the archives to scan them.
Now, if you have a lot, what we can do is you want to bring them at a certain date. I would just make sure I'm there. We'll scan them all. You can take them back home with you, so you don't have to lose them. Okay, all right,
All good?
Hey guys,
okay.
hey guys, just real quick, the annual reports are up from 1880 to 1920. So I have 21 through 55 that I have to get up yet. And I will work on
Wow.
that this week. I will work on that this weekend. I promise.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Ronnie. This is great.
Okay.
Yeah, the technology, this is awesome.
Well,
Okay, well,
no, I'm sorry.
I'm waiting for the seal.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right. So thank you for the archives report, Bob. This is great news. All right, moving on. So publications, we have Carl Olson in the house. Yep, he's right there. There's a microphone for you. I got you, buddy. Yep. There you go, my friend. You're welcome.
So the 2026 calendar is being worked on. I have a rough copy. It's all postcards, as we said, and it has to be finalized. And I'm working with Bill on getting that done, and then Mal's doing the captions. The second thing is the Observer. The 2026 Observer is going to be O&W Car 30 and the Warwick. It has basically been written and laid out, I believe. All the photos have been selected. It just has to be sharpened up and probably be ready mid-2026. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the report, Carl. All right. Next is website and newsletter, both Ronnie Vasallo.
Okay, the website, I think Bob pretty much mentioned what's been going on with the website lately. So I don't really have anything new to report there. But the newsletter, yeah, kind of came up real quick here. I can't believe we're already in November, but I hope to have one out before the end of the year. So I'll be working on that shortly. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Ronnie. Ronnie, I may have a small article for the newsletter too, so I got to write you the message. But
Excellent.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
I'll get stuff in there. Yeah.
I
All
was
right.
gonna
So
say-
next. Yep. No big deal.
Go ahead.
Yep. Next is Roscoe O&W Museum. So I don't have anything to report on the O&W Museum. Do you want to say a couple things about? Yeah, Bob Earl does. Recent happenings. He's familiar with. You got the mic?
You got
Just give it. Yep. All right. Very good.
We got a whole bunch.
I know. They're that's all
We're
right.
passing back and forth.
Yeah. Got it.
All right.
Bob Earl does a few things.
Okay, couple things. Dan Myers and I went to a meet and greet at the with the new group that's up at Roscoe.
Yeah, I couldn't make it, unfortunately,
But it was we had a very nice reception. They very much want to work with us. And there's a couple of options of things we can do with them.
right.
And we'll talk about that. So there is an issue or something going on that they have to figure out who owns what up there.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, a few years back, before we moved to the archives, Jeff and I ran across a book, the lending book that was kept. And of course, we put it away for safekeeping, and then we couldn't find it. So we spent several hours Monday. We finally found it. And we made copies of all the stuff that had been lent and given to Roscoe, all the pages of that. And I took them up today and gave it to them, so copies of that.
Very good.
And also one other thing, if you're in the area at Roscoe next Saturday, the 15th, there's going to be a Cooks Falls meeting. Includes the railroad, but a lot of other stuff too. So if you're there, you can drop by and have time. We may be going.
Yeah, Bob and I, we might be going up, depending. So, but yes, and the people from the Roscoe Museum did come to the convention, and they were very, very sweet people. And I told them we would definitely be working with them and making maybe something happen, maybe a possible Roscoe Day like we used to do back in the 80s, something we could do up there with them. So we got a lot of potential, and it's very good news what they're doing. So thank you for that report, Bob. So next, Facebook. Facebook, nothing really Yeah,
I just wanted to add that our old member Kurt Stiles is going to bring up this infamous day. Put it back.
so, oh gosh, that's funny. All right, cool. So Kurt, or member Kurt Ziles, is going to have his modular Lionel layout up there for a
But it
couple of
won't
weeks.
blow the bridge out.
But it won't blow. Yeah,
I'm still working.
yeah. So anyway, moving on. Facebook. Really nothing really different other than people still requesting to join and photographs and whatnot going on there. So Facebook is doing very, very well. And moving on, we're going to jump ahead to the 105 project.
Hang on a second. I think Norma's on, but I gotta.
Oh yeah, we got to find Norman. So I'm going to get to this a little bit more here for like the good of the society and whatnot. But as you all know, with this government shutdown, there is zero activity going on in Steamtown. So, but we'll get to more of that. Norman will speak a little bit about it, and then I myself will. So,
Okay, can you hear
is
me?
Norman with us? Yes, we can hear you, Norman.
Okay, good. Well, I wish I had good news to report. As everybody knows, the government is shut down, and we dealt with this with the pandemic, with the COVID, and now we're back at it with the shutdown. So everything is stashed away, safe and secure. Park is really locked down. I mean, you can't even step a foot in the park. So, but I was told just recently that when they do open back up, that the park will reopen the following day. That they will, anybody that's due to come into work will be in. I'll have to give the shop people a little chance to get their bearings back again, and then maybe we can get the work sessions started. For I only have some small projects to do right now. One of the biggest project is we have to pull the engine out and remove the hood that we put on for Railfest and store it, and then after that, then hopefully we can arrange to have some mechanics come up to do some work on it and go from there. But everybody that's on my team has been in touch with me in that and anxious to get back to work to doing some stuff. So in the meantime, we push for funding. I keep watching for more grant opportunities in that, but again, those have slowed up too. Probably won't start up again now till around February. But let's hope that my goal is for next year, for 2026, that we would have the both prime movers up and running. So there's some work to do to accomplish that, but it's not impossible. So, and once we get that far with it, then we can check some of the other things that need to be done under power, and that helps too with the fundraising. Anytime we can show a major upgrade, the fundraising goes a lot quicker, and the grants go quicker too, because they like to see progress, especially if it's somebody that already gave us a grant. So, like I said, we're all hoping. Steamtown we lost all of our excursions in the past month. It's a shame because we had like probably about 8 excursions for fall foliage, and that they were lost. And now coming up in just 2 weeks is our local NHRS chapter. We have 3 days of Santa trains. We're prepared for them, but unless they open up, we're not going to have them. And then in December, we have 6 days of North Pole Limited trains, and the Iron Horse is working on trying to make some kind of arrangements where we can operate them. But we're trying to keep Steamtown, looking like it's not closed up permanently, that there is something going on. But everybody's been in touch with their congressman and that, and trying to push. But there's a lot higher priorities in Steamtown, as everybody knows. So hopefully things will get back together within 60 to 90 days after the park, or after the government opens back up.
And 26 is down. You mentioned that, right?
Oh yeah, this was something that, again, this is why people say, well, how come they're shut down for a day for what's a boiler wash and what's this? And well, there's certain, the FRA requires so many daily inspections, quarterly inspections. There's all different inspections they require. And this last one, they've been, little minor problems they've been able to fix, like sometimes the morning of the run. But this last inspection, they had to go in and check all the stay plugs, stay bolts, and stuff like that. And while they're in there doing this, they found a bulge in the in the firebox. So they had to further investigate that. And not only was there a bulge, there was a crack in the steel.
Yep.
And it was a good thing that it was found, so it's immediately it's out of service. And they've got a plan. They're going to have to cut out a piece approximately 6 inches wide and 30 to 36 inches long and shape it to match up. Remove the stay bolts and drill new holes and put new stay bolts in and weld that in. But that's all got to be done under the FRA guidance and with boiler qualified mechanics and steel. Fortunately, they have all the materials that is at the park. They don't have to go looking for material. And they got a good plan to get it put together and back up in their steam, fairly reasonable.
They can't do any of that until they get back to work.
And that's the thing. They can't do any of it until it gets reopened. So
They were hoping to have it fixed by the end of the first week of December. And they've lost so much. Well, they've lost over 30 days already of work. So the longer that the government's out, that's less time. And like I said, now they've got to get back in there and regroup and get their heads back around their shoulders there. Well, where do we leave off? Where do we have to pick up? What do we have to do? So it's going to take them a couple of days just to get reorganized too and get going again. But it'll get done. It'll get done. So And I will say one thing that there's probably going to be some good news about Steamtown late next year. So there's some a lot of things going on in the head office and behind the scenes, and there should be some really good news coming about. So like I said, getting the 105 back, or maybe getting the 105 running, getting the 26 back under steam, and getting some excursion finally planned so we can operate it. That's three good things that will help, but there's other things too. So.
Well, it's a shame because we had the excursion all planned out. I actually made the announcement at the convention that we were going to have the excursion. It was supposed to be November 9th. They were going to have the 26th. We were going to have the O&W, Dan Myers' O&W whistle on it. We were going to go to Carbondale and back. They were going to have run-bys and whistle blow. It was going to be great. And not even 2 days after I made the announcement, they contacted me and told me that the steam engine had a crack in the firebox and was immediately pulled out of service. I said, "Oh boy!" And I said, "Well, do you have a date on to when it would get back into service?" He says, "Well, we could still do the trip behind diesel." I said, "Well, I don't know if we want to do behind diesel. The whole point was to have the steam engine, and then the government shut down, so it just destroyed everything." Mm-hmm. So I just said, "Well, there's nothing we can do. It's not all of it's out of our hands, even if the." So we're going to try again for 2026 to have an excursion. But we were all set. We were going to literally start advertising immediately. 2 days after we met, we made the announcement. They just bad news, and then even worse news when the government shut down. They couldn't do any of the repair work or nothing. So, I wouldn't mind. Well, that's what we were deciding. If we were going to have the diesel, then so be it. We just have another one. But then, of course, government shut down. They couldn't do anything. Plus, they had vandalism. Some of the passenger cars over there got vandalized. Yep. So they were dealing with that too. Yep. So
Arnold, you got a question?
The engine you're talking about,
the Baldwin 060. Yes, correct. Yep. That whistle that Danny Myers lent them came off a Camelback. I believe it was a U-class, but it was put on engine 53, which was one of the O&W 060 Camelback switchers. They were using that right at that little rush of business. So that whistle was used on, an 060. So it's kind of, pretty cool that it's going back on a switcher. But again, with nothing they could do. It was all out of our hands. We couldn't do it, which was very, very disappointing. But we're just going to have to try again in 2026. We'll keep on trying.
Yep.
So, all right, moving on. We have to get going here. Sales table, Walter.
Good evening, everybody. The sales table went to Port Jervis. We picked up $114 there. At Holly, we picked up $44. At the convention, we made $256 for a total of $414.
Excellent. Very, very nice, Walter. Thank you for the report. Mail sales is Ray Kelly. Ray Kelly, unfortunately, couldn't make it tonight, but he did tell me about it. The mail order sales for the month of October was $185 for October, and Tom Cooney donated $210 to the 105 fund. So we thank you, Tom. Thank you for your generous donation.
Happy birthday,
And-
Ray Kelly.
And happy birthday to Ray Kelly. That's right.
2 days ago.
Yep, that's right. Ray Kelly's birthday. November. So, moving on. Is there any old business? Okay. Any new business? Yes.
Yes.
So I had the good pleasure of going to the convention. It really was a positive thing. There's so much negative news, the war drums, and also it was nice to have a whole day of looking at America with some of the best times in America and in our society.
Yeah.
But two things came up.
Do you want to just speak into this so the people can hear you on the?
I think they can hear it.
There you go. There you go. That's okay.
So anyway, the convention was really great. There's a lot of good stuff. You know, you can remember when America was great and we were great, and even the society the last 10, 20, 30 years. So the two things came up on there. One is the war drums, and I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I read an article along many years about the O&W involved in helping the war efforts in World War II and so forth. And I'm wondering if that's something we want to think about reprinting or maybe updating and putting it into the service again. And also, there's so many people with so many good stories that, you know, there were people there that I didn't know because they were from, you know, maybe the O&W Museum up there in Roscoe, or maybe there were people from upstate New York, you know, along the O&W lines. And they had some really good stories, and I'm thinking, might be some way to just capture some of those stories either on video or for the news articles. So that was something that I thought might be able to do at some point. So any kind of writing about how the railroad dealt with the war, and also some of these great memories, because some of these people aren't going to be around much longer, and you know might not be able to say that anymore. So
No, that's true. That's true. And we've done that in the past. So yeah, I think if anybody has any stories, if they saw operations, to write down what they seen and get their name and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Copy them. Yeah.
And one other quick thing, you know, these computer things are great, especially in a snowy day, rainy day. It was kind of rainy tonight. I was thinking about just hanging home and, you know, doing it through the computer. But when you come out, you know, you get the fresh air and the breathing and that's really, you know, inspiring. But also when the mic's off and the meeting's over, you get a little bit of, I call it gossip or hearsay. And one of the hearsays that I heard at our convention was that there was a tourist fair in upstate New York, I believe, and they had 2 or 3 F units from the O&W in O&W paint, and they has been, since somebody has acquired it, they've since moved it to one of the main railroad yards up there, and I knew all this stuff, you know, after the next day, but then the stuff after, you know, a month, you start to forget about it, all the details. But someplace upstate New York in one of the main railroad yards, there's three F units. One doesn't have any motor in it, but the other 2 do, and they're trying to they're planning to restore it. It's scheduled to be restored. I don't remember who's restoring it, but it's something to look forward to, because if we have to ride behind some diesel someday, it might be fun to ride behind some O&W F units.
Well, there isn't any O&W F units that exist. They were all scrapped, every single one of them. The only ones that exist are the 105, the 103, 101, which are the 44 tonners. And there is the 116 that is an Arkville, which is an NW2, but there are no reserved F3s or FTs. I mean, there have been painted. One of them was in Winslow Junction.
That's where you're thinking of, the one that was in Winslow Junction on the Southern Railroad in New Jersey. That was moved up to the Reading and Northern.
Okay.
They had it down in Jim Thorpe, and they're the ones that are planning on restoring. I don't know if they paint them. It'd be cool if they did paint them.
Real cool.
I don't know.
That's a problem with hearsay, because sometimes you don't get the
It's very unfortunate that there were no known O&W units that were preserved. I mean, honestly, even like some of the other railroads, like the Erie, you know, they had the same thing. They had FTs and F3s and whatnot. But when the New York Central acquired those engines, that, you know, even back in 1957, early 50s, that technology, they were just like, yeah, these things are junk. You know what I mean? So that's, you know, they didn't even bother. You know, some of the smaller stuff that they were still using on short lines and whatnot, they were useful, but that mainline stuff, that was way obsolete. So at that point, unfortunately. So, but thank you very much. You make a good point. So
thank you.
Yes. moving on for the good of the society.
So a couple things came up. Ray posted this first one on Facebook. So the O&W Sullivan County Rail Trail, they actually advertise. I've heard them on the radio. They've advertised now on billboards about the now stretches of the O&W that have been converted into rail trails and used for scenic purposes. And there's major stretches again through Mountaindale and through trying to think of all the different towns that they go through on the up the Red Hill Grade, everything like that.
You get these great big. Matter of fact, I saw that billboard on the side of 17 with my record. I said, "Oh, there's our logo." So I thought that was pretty cool. The big advertising, and it's very, very popular. Very, very popular. And I've got a very good idea to work with them. I'd like to reach out and talk to them. Yes.
Yeah, the trademark. I think that's an appropriate use of the trademark.
It isn't. They're not using the trademark to make money on one another. They're using it to promote the rail because that's what their trail. No, I'm just saying, because you're not the only one to say that. They're using the logo to promote the trail that literally was the O&W main line. So we're not gonna. No, you want, but other people have asked me the same question. So I'm just saying that, but because they are using the logo, but they're not using it to. But one of the ideas that I've had and I've spoken about it, and I like to get in contact with these guys is that. Interesting points along any of these trails, whether it's the Kingston Branch Trail, the Southern Division Mainline Trail, or anything like that. If there was a station site or a site of importance, like say the wreck at Luzon, there could be a plaque with a QR code. If you scan that QR code with your phone, if you're on your bicycle or not, it could take you to a section of our website that have the maps, the track maps, historical photos, and all kinds of information on there. Exactly. Then they'll know what we're looking at. And that's a lot better than spending money for a whole kiosk with all the information on it. Just scan the QR code of points of interest. And, so I'd like to get in contact with them and work with them. Maybe we can get together in some place, do a program for them or whatnot, So this is great. I mean, this is putting the O&W right on the billboard, like, hey, New York Continuing Western. So this is phenomenal.
The other part of there's another, this was also on the radio. The Hurleyville Performing Arts Center was soliciting donations to help restore the Luzon station. Part of their, you buy a tile kind of thing and help donate. So they have this advertised. So the Luzon station's in relatively good shape. It's a beautiful station.
So they're looking for donations?
Yes.
To restore, the O&W Society should at least give them a small donation to restore that station. Do you think we could?
I think it's a trustee.
Yeah,
it's a trustee.
What's that?
That was for sale. Did they buy it?
I would assume that they do control it.
I think so, yeah.
They either own or control it of some manner, yeah.
Oh, look, that's right there. You buy a tile, and they'll put it on the
Yeah, I think we should definitely do something.
At least reach out.
Reach out.
So.
Gotta scan that box.
Yep.
Well, send me that info. Give me all the information to them so I can reach out because this is really good stuff. So.
Yep.
And then for the other thing for the good of the society is, of course, there are people at the Roscoe Museum. They, like we were talking about earlier, they'd like to do something with us, and we're definitely going to be working hand in hand. I want to have a good relationship with them, and possibly, like I said, we could do like another Roscoe Day like we used to do years ago. That would be a lot of fun. Another big question is everybody's talking about the O&W station in Middletown. What's going on? Why does it look all boarded up? Did they stop? They were going through the bidding station or the bidding stages for the contractors, the plumbers, the electricians, the frame, all that stuff. From what I understand, that's just about completed, and they're expecting to start working on that probably in late September or not September, December, January sometime. And once that starts, they're going full bore into that. Yeah. It's going to be full speed ahead. So we're really, really excited about that.
I got another for the good of society.
Yep, go ahead. Oh,
next.
For the good of the society.
So Bob.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So Bob's going to talk here about what you're looking at really quick.
You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
All right. Every year we've been, for the past 3 years, been up to Hancock or Kedoshia to give a program in the fall. This is the 4th year, and basically working with Ray Kelly for a lot of ideas and such, put together a then and now, what's around today, and versus what existed and stuff.
My alley.
Yes.
To do with it.
We're going to be Thursday, November 13th, 6 o'clock at the Hancock Legion. We used to have it at the Hancock Library, but then they take all the chairs out of the Legion, run them down, stuff. Somebody said, well, why don't you just leave the chairs and have it here? So that's what we're going to do. And it's the number for information.
When is that?
Next Thursday, November
So
13th.
this is really cool, really quick. I don't mean to think. So what the two pictures that you're looking at, this is the O&W Scranton Division in Hancock.
Yes.
And what you're looking at, and I'm going to come over here, you got this bridge above and you see the before and you see the after. But if you look up here on this line, this is Route 17 as you're coming into Hancock.
Yep.
So you can't see, you think you're on the O&W Scranton Division and you're not. It's just to the left of the highway, down the embankment a little bit. The whole right of way is wide open. There's a bum in here. There's now about 200 or 300 feet before this bridge heading back towards Scadoja. There's rail in the ground because this is where my friend, the Homer House's great grandson, he took me to see all this. I got pictures of all this. And we kicked over there was rail. They never tore it out of the ground. Scranton Division rail was all up there. So this is really cool. But yeah, that's why you can't see it. If you got Rail Guide on your cell phone, it shows that you're on top of it and you're not. It's right there. It's right to the left of you, but it's down more. But it's wide open.
But as you head out into the Scranton Division more,
yes,
you are on top.
You are on top, like where the schoolhouse was.
Yes.
And that schoolhouse is the schoolhouse that they talk about on the O&W tapes, where they built the siding right down into the school. And you can see that coming right down.
I got a very interesting aerial image of that. Before they built that.
Yes, exactly. Anyway. So that part of 17, you're pretty much on it to where it crosses over to Delaware Bridge. But this whole segment right here is wide open, and it's there.
So hopefully we'll see you next Thursday at on the 13th at 6 p.m. at the Hancock Legion.
And it's funny because we did the trip on March 29th when we did the driving tour. We went right by that. We didn't even realize we were going right by. I didn't know it was there. Yeah. So next time when we do it this year, we might just go up there and show what we missed before, because that was really cool. Yeah. All right, moving on. Current local railroad topics.
So the Union Pacific is part of their coast to coast tour. They've announced the big boy will be in Middletown next year. No, I'm just kidding. This is I thought that'd be funny, but no, the UP is part of their collaboration, very close collaboration with the Norfolk Southern. We'll see what the STB has to say about it. We'll plan on bringing the 4014 east of the Mississippi and to the East Coast. So route is TBD, but somewhere in I'm sure the vicinity of the New York or Pennsylvania region, we'll see the big boy in action on the coast. So
the Union Pacific, and that would be the first time a big boy has ever been here since the time they were built, because obviously they were built in Schenectady. Yep. And they had to get shipped out.
I think they're right between Middletown and Slate Hill, if you ask me.
Oh God. Yeah. That's really cool though. So does anybody have anything else for current local railroad topics?
I have a couple more.
Norfolk and Western 611's running. They get their
We can't hear you.
Yeah. He said that Norfolk and Western is
running down in Virginia.
Yeah, running down in Virginia. So what do you got, Alan?
Yeah, next couple slides.
Okay.
It's down at Lancaster, at the Strasburg, and the 614's all torn apart down there.
Oh yes, that's right. 614's undergoing
there. I took a shop tour and worth the trip down there. That's a wonderful railroad.
Yeah, that engine is the 614 is really amazing. I mean, I remember not missing one trip of that engine coming to Port Jervis, and we rode it twice. We had to drive down to Hoboken to board the train at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then come back up and then drive back home all the way from down there. But it was worth every bit of it.
Strasburg again. I would get.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I know I gotta move quickly here because it's already 8 o'clock.
Yep, we have to get this meeting going on because we got now.
Real quick, we always partner. We being the NYSNW always partner with Operation Toy Train. So we've expanded operations this year. So we're now running the Toys for Tots train from Syracuse down to Binghamton. Another train from Binghamton down to Port Jervis on the 6th and the 7th. And then the next slide, we'll be doing the usual train from Little Ferry up to Warwick, and then the Middletown, New Jersey will run it from Warwick down to Port Jervis. So 4 days in this region of train watching, and of course you're gonna go out and chase the train, bring a toy, donate for a good cause. It's a major operation. They could always use support. So 6th and the 7th, the schedules are of course posted online. Here's the 6th and the 7th. And the next slide here is the 13th and the 14th. And of course, every year they add another stop. This year they're adding Paterson, New Jersey, Franklin, New Jersey, so on and so forth. So it gets bigger and bigger every year. And on that New Jersey, the Saturday, the 13th, they usually collect somewhere upwards of 21,000 toys in a single day.
Ooh, wow. All right. Well, thank you for that, Alan. We're going to keep moving on here. Yep. So, modelers and Henry, do you have anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
I added your slides, though.
Yeah.
Here. Is that good?
Hey, 3 things are coming up rapidly here this month. The first one is the Hudson Valley Railroad Society is hosting the Hudson Valley Train Show, aka the Poughkeepsie Train Show. That's coming up this Sunday, November the 9th at the MJM Center. Okay, that's over in Poughkeepsie. And if you need additional information, hydeparkstation.org is the place to go. It's probably one of the better shows in the lower Hudson Valley. Okay, and I would encourage anybody who is available on Sunday to go check it out. Next, you're on next. Okay, Hyde Park Station Club is going to hold a introduction to model railroading clinic. Okay, that will be next Thursday, November 13th, starting at 7 o'clock. You're into model railroading or just a beginner or even an advanced guy, I would encourage people to stop by. It's at the Hyde Park station. Very nice place. They've reconditioned it. And for additional information and to register, you got to go to their hydeparkstation.org. Okay, I'll hope to see everybody there. Okay. Then finally, towards the middle of this month, the next meeting of the Hudson Valley Division of the National Model Railroading Club or Association will be held on Saturday, November 15th, again at the Hyde Park Club. It seems all the action we have this month is centered around Hyde Park. That's kind of a coincidence, but that's the way it is. Anyway, we're going to hold our meeting on the 15th, and it starts at 11 o'clock. Also, I want to put a plug in. Our November issue of the Hudson Valley Headlight is out. Many of you folks, I think, subscribe already, and it had an article in it about our anniversary 22nd anniversary convention. So it's there. We publish it every other month. If you didn't get one and want to sign up, okay, shoot me a note or come see me at the break, and then we'll get you hooked up.
Was it a good article?
I thought so,
okay.
Since I wrote it. I don't know.
Did it put us in a favorable light?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you need to sign up for the headline for that. So, if you haven't gotten it, write it, shoot me a note or see me after. I need your email address, and we'll get you signed up.
Thank you, Henry.
You got it?
No, I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
The break. All right.
Thank you, Henry.
That's all I got. Any other questions? That's it for model railroading.
All right. Thank you for the report, Henry. Thank you very, very much. Oh,
Joey,
yes.
I just want to.
Starts at 10 o'clock. I believe it only goes till 3, sir. No, the parking is free. Across the street from the MJM Center is parking lot, and it's free on Sundays.
All right. Thank you for the report. Ron, you have something?
Yes, I just completed putting up all the annual reports, so that project is complete.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
See, you see how fast he is? This is why Ronnie's in charge of the website. Because he's that good.
Yep.
Obviously,
He wasn't paying attention to the meeting.
God bless you, Ronnie. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So I don't have anything for Collector's Corner tonight, so we're really kind of strapped for time. We got to get Mal going here. So we're going to just go on up. And then the upcoming events, really quick, you just take a look. We have our society meeting, which is going to be on December 5th, 7 p.m. That monthly meeting is going to be by Mark Kenna on the Delhi branch, Delhi and Walton. So, which is a really great
between Walton and Delhi.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yep.
excluding Walton and Delhi, the stations in between, so Hamden,
The
Delaney.
milk line.
Yep.
They call it the milk line. All right. So,
and then the meeting after that will be the 2nd of January, so the day after New Year's, and we'll talk about if you want to do in person or Zoom for that.
Yeah, we'll talk.
And then
so
we'll also talk about the Springfield show and
yes, the Big E. Which really quick, let me make an announcement here. We are going to change up a couple of some of the area representatives. We've done some revamping. So for the Southern Division, Robert Rainey. Where did he go? He just went into the something.
He's in the bathroom.
Okay, yep. Robert Rainey, store Southern Division. Port Jervis, Monticello, and Somerville is myself. The Kingston branch is at large. Sullivan County, Charlie Briner. Delaware County, Danny Myers. Scranton Division, Norman Barrett. Northern Division, John Tavy has decided to take over where our late Mike Noble left off. May he rest in peace. So John Tavy is going to be representing the Northern Division. Thank you, John. And we're having a return position. The New England position is being returned, and Malcolm Houck has decided he will take over that position as well. So thank you, Malcolm. He's going to represent the O&W Society at the biggest train show in the Northeast, the Big E, in January, which is amazing. So thank you, Mal. And I do have one more position, but that will be announced at the next meeting because the position that I would like to appoint him on, he's not here tonight. So I'm going to talk to him, but that will be coming up. So we are at the end. I'm going to call this meeting cancel. What do you call it?
To adjourn.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. You see, I haven't really had a lot of sleep. All right. First, all right. Second. All right. All in favor? All right. All right.
Mal, do you want to wait until the end for questions, or do you want to take questions as they come? It's up to you.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay. All right. Yeah, the people online will be asking questions as they come, so.
Okay, it's fine. Fine with me.
Okay. As long as they're not intrusive, if they're relevant, I might interject.
Questions.
That's right.
That's how I make my living. Questions and answers and questions.
Well, Mal, I guess if you want to introduce yourself, if in case people don't know you, you want to give a brief introduction to yourself?
Good grief, I thought everyone knew me.
That's what I was going to say. Everybody knows Mal, so.
Right.
Go right ahead.
I'll just start with Malcolm Houck. I live in Massachusetts. I've been connected with the O&W Railroad Historical Society before it was, and go back to Ray Wood, Bill Scott, Charlie Briner, all the original organizers, and Ken Coombs, who actually went down to Philadelphia in 1963 and carried the original NRHS O&W charter back to Middletown. So that's about how long I've been connected with all of this. I'm still working. I'm a practicing attorney in Massachusetts. My interest in the O&W really started as a model railroading exercise, building equipment and so forth. And as I told John Tavy in writing, I think 4 or 5 observers, that in so doing, I became an accidental historian. So that's where I am. I was always interested in different types of operations of the O&W, way back to the original formation of the Roscoe O&W Museum. I had spoken many, many times to Will Sipple I think I even decorated his HO scale model of the 405 in the Autokiller Speedliner dress for him many years ago. So one of the things that was always of interest, and I was somewhat friendly enough to exchange postcards and be up to Manville Wakefield's house. First, the old house in Grahamsville, and then the newer house up on the side of the hill. And he showed me I believe it was an original galley of his To the Mountains by Rail, and in that was a uh, kind of a badly rendered uh, image, looked like it was a copy of a newspaper image of the New York Conservation Commission, and I think at the time it was the New York Fisheries Commission, fish car, Adirondack. So that's where I started. And here's my little presentation about railroad fish cars. I was just talking to the people at the Orozco Museum today. Bob, I think, had told them to call me, gave them my number, and they caught me. They caught me at my desk on the in between. So I talked to them, and the interesting thing was, I told them about dealing with Will Sipple at least 30 years ago over the what he called the trout car. Well, what it is they were fish cars. So here's the aquaculture. This first map shows all of the public and private fish hatcheries in the state of New York. Back, and I always hate reading these things, but I just didn't have the time to clean it all up. But here's how it started. In the 19th century, before there was lots of specific, focused federal agencies, it fell to the Department of Agriculture, the federal department, which is by the way, it's the second oldest cabinet department after the State Department. And the Agriculture Department had traditionally been charged with responsibilities really involving the food supply. After the Civil War, it came to the attention of the Department of Agriculture that one of the principal reasons for the rejection of military conscripts was due to poor health and poor nutrition. So the scientists in the Department of Agriculture had undertaken to analyze public nutrition, and they determined that the general population was suffering from a protein deficiency. And the recommendation, and I don't know how it was published exactly, whether it was in the paper, in newspapers, or in flyers, but it was the opinion of the Department of Agriculture that the easiest and most readily available source of protein was from fish. So, as once said, here's the rest of the story. One of the significant movers and shakers was Robert Barnwell Roosevelt. He was Teddy Roosevelt's uncle, and as I say in this plate here, sportsman, author, New York 4th District congressman. Later, as a diplomat, he was commissioner to The Hague, and that is I think the official title for the diplomatic representative to the Netherlands. And there's his picture. He became very concerned, and this is a quote from him, I'll read it. As the railroad advanced and gave improved facility of travel, so-called sportsmen, and you got to remember this was 19th century, so there was a certain class distinction between sportsmen and the rest of the population, and there was it very strongly resembled the Edwardian snobbery between the betters and the betters and the upper classes. So He continues, following every rivulet and ranging in every swamp, killing without mercy thousands of trout, boasting of their baskets to overflowing and counting a day's sport by the hundred, till Bash's Kill, where the pearly-sided fish once dwelt in abundance, was empty, and the broad Mongap, the Callicoon, and even the joyous Beaver Kill, with its innumerable tributaries, were exhausted. One of the things that Roosevelt and later William Henry Harrison Murray, who was a congregational minister from Connecticut and was a big enthusiast of the Adirondacks, they considered that the railroads were to blame for the depletion of resident freshwater fish populations. Couple of reasons. They diverted streams, they filled in rivulets, they built culverts, they built bridges, and some of the streams became insilted, became uninhabitable for the fish, and so they both railed against the railroads and what they had done to the resident fish population, especially in the Adirondacks and really in the Catskills and out to Delaware County. Harrison was sometimes known as Mr. Adirondack. He had written a book called Camp Life in the Adirondacks, and he complained that with the advent of railroads, quote, an invasion of anglers into the Adirondacks, railroads had a responsible role in the exhaustion of native fish, writing, the trout are gone, or nearly so. Roosevelt delivered a very impassioned speech from Congress in 1870 that led to this joint resolution for the protection of food fishes of the coast of the United States, and it established the United States Fish Commission, USFC, and it really recognized that only governments were able to assume leadership in increasing fish supply or in regulating fish catch, and they did so by planting. And planting is the term of art for introducing hatchery fry into watercourses, ponds, and lakes. That's to be distinguished from the term of art of seeding, which is what is done with juvenile shellfish, oysters and clams and mussels. That's seeding. Fish, it's planting. They tried to do it. The U.S. Fish Commission, and by the way, Robert Barnwell Roosevelt, was the first United States Fish Commission chairman. So they tried to make use of conventional baggage cars, and they found out that the start stop of regular passenger trains it was really not easy transit, and the fish were all, the fry from the hatcheries were usually handled in 80-pound milk cans. That's 40 quarts, is my grandmother's dairy farming relatives in central Massachusetts. They always referred to them as 80-pound cans. It's 40 quarts, and that's what they weighed when filled with milk. Here is USFC number 1, builder's photo from Harlan and Hollingsworth in Wilmington, Delaware, United States Fish Commission car number 1. And the interesting thing is there's platforms at the end for entrance of the messengers, and then there's a center door for the loading and unloading of the milk cans with the fish fry. A number of states, I can't say all of them 100%, but many states had conservation fisheries commissions, and so there's a number of different agencies from state to state, and they were all different, largely unchanged, and periodically all of these various government agencies, state government agencies, were shuffled and dealt. The original pictures I think I saw of the fish car Adirondack that was owned by the state of New York. It was the Conservation Commission lately, but originally it was placarded at one point on the letterboard with the New York Fisheries Department. They had messengers, and these guys, they actually were employees of the agency operating the fish car, and they actually traveled with the cars because the fish, the infant fish in the milk cans, would exhaust the dissolved oxygen in the water and lead to suffocation. So the messengers were required to replenish deoxygenated water with fresh water at least 2 hour intervals, 2 to 4 hours. Here is U.S. Fish Commission car number 4. That was built by Jackson and Sharp, and there it is right in front of the Jackson and Sharp erecting hall. All steel construction started with the fish cars at approximately the same time that all steel construction came into vogue with the builders of passenger cars. Here's the Department of Commerce. That's a fish car number 7. And as accommodations for the messengers that had to ride along, you can see this overhead style Pullman uppers. The Bureau of Fisheries number 7 was a Harlan and Hollingsworth car, which by the time was owned by American Car and Foundry. And you can see here the pull down uppers. And this one had this particular car had countertop lids with actually aquariums. It was difficult to more time consuming to deal with the fishery because they had to be netted out and replaced back in the milk cars in which they were delivered. I don't think that lasted very long. State governments operated fish cars and to serve the residents and the touring sportsmen. Here's the California Fishing Gang distributing cars, they call it, steel underframed and repurposed baggage mail car. And steel underframe's got the hallmark steel end. They often had the various state fish cars had names, and they were clearly associated with the state. The Iowa State Fish Car, the Iowa State Conservation Commission fish car, was called Hawkeye, which was the traditional nickname for the state of Iowa. The Idaho Fish Car, I don't think they were particular. I don't even know what the state nickname is, but they were they utilized heavy baggage cars dedicated for that, but they didn't run them. They found out that it was inopportune and uncomfortable to deal with them in regular baggage handling. And here you can see in the open door, there's milk cars carrying the fish fry. Each state had a different table of organization. In the case of the Commonwealth of, this is the state of Illinois, they had their own dedicated car, and it's typical fish car insofar as here's the center door for loading. And by the way, it wasn't all state agencies. Sportsman club, rod and gun clubs that had their own pond were able to order loads of fish fry to stock their own private ponds. Yeah, the Iowa Fish Commission, here's Hawkeye for the for the Hawkeye State. Kansas Fish and Game Department, that was their version. They operated Fish Car Angler. Commonwealth of Kentucky, the Fish and Game Commission operated it was essentially a steel combine. I don't know there was any name for it. It just says Game and Fish Car. and they were a little more commodious. There's a desk for the messengers, and they each had nice bunk beds. I suppose nicer than hammocks or nicer than uppers. State of Michigan operated a fish car. It was called the Wolverine, after the Wolverine State, very popular name, and as a as a proud University of Michigan graduate, I had to get a line in there. Pretty good University of Michigan football team, the Wolverines. State of Michigan, incidentally, was among the first to try planting fish fry from aircraft. It may seem a little brutal, but a traditional method of railroad fish cars planting was to stop and pause over a bridge and near a water course and just simply dump the cans with the fish fry into the water course beneath the rails. Here's an aquarium car operated by the state of Montana. You see, it's a little more exotic. There's your compressor, there's the uppers, the fish boxes, and the reservoir underneath, which was for fresh water. In Nebraska, had a fish car. It looks to me like it's just a Jackson and Sharp open platform car. It was called the Antelope, for the state where the deer and the antelope roam. Province of Canada operated its own fish car, and here's a bunch of people. Looks like they're carrying away fish cans. That looks like it was Rod and Gun Club or local community association having ordered fish from one of the hatcheries served by the government of Ontario. Oregon Fish and Game Department had a distributing car. It was called the Rainbow, and it was named for the preferred rainbow trout game fish in the state of Oregon. And here's an interior view of the Rainbow, and you can see that the technology advanced to the point of having individual these pipes along the sides of each car were manifolds for flexible hoses to bubble fresh air into the water containing the fish. And of course, here they had the pull down uppers as well, and very nicely done gas lamps. Commonwealth of Kentucky Fish and Game Commission, they actually had a little gasoline compressor inside the car to supply air for the air stones of the bubblers in the containers holding the fish fry. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania had a Jackson and Sharp, very handsome Jackson and Sharp car. And again, there's the center door, and it wasn't a full-size center door. I don't quite know why they did, but I guess they would just open it up and slide the cans of fish fry or the empties in and out. And it was, I think it was called Susquehanna. John G. Shedd Aquarium was a commercial aquarium in downtown Chicago or in one of the suburbs, and they operated their own fish car Nautilus to replenish exhibition stocks and to fund periodic traveling exhibitions of native fish. And here is our fish car Adirondack. It was built by the Gilbert Car Company of Troy, New York in 1891. Cost $3,800, not including trucks. The trucks had to be purchased secondhand from the New York Central. It cost them $413.60. And I got that information the last time I was up at Manville Wakefield's house in Grahamsville, and he had all the information about that. And I suggested that maybe he ought to write some kind of an article for the Observer, which was then the 10 times a year magazine. And he just looked at me and said, "Oh, that's for you to do." So here I am. They overran, the Conservation Commission overran its budget authorized by the New York Assembly. And so they had to complete the car without the installation, without the capability for shad hatching, shad eggs, and they were installed at a later date. And here's a picture of the Adirondack in winter layup and a sighting at Rhinebeck. And that was where the shad and salmon eggs were stripped and harvested from laden females and then taken aboard Adirondack to be hatched in the fry that they would plant later on after the term of art being ice out, that these cars didn't run until ice out. The best I could ever do was this diagram that I received from internet correspondent and freight car and service buff Ray Breyer. And by the way, many of the pictures of the various fish cars in this little show came from brother Ray Breyer. But here is the best that he could find was this diagram. It was unscaled, so I made the assumption that they were standard railroad dimensions. I scaled the wheelbase of the trucks as best I could. I scaled the assumed the width of the car was 10 feet, and I completely overlooked. I saw this one end platform, and I didn't notice that there was a different end platform, only a single step on one side, and the door was offset. And of course, you could not have conventional passenger car steps with a well so close to an open door. More about that later. Here's the interior of Adirondack, and they actually had to keep a fairly uniform temperature in colder weather. And the ice was used to cool water in cans with fry, and it was later replaced by much, much lighter tin-plated pails they call Fearnow pails. Where the name came from is probably the guy that had the patent on it. But those only weighed 5 pounds and contained a small partition inside, packing with crushed ice to keep the fish fry cool enough to survive. And here's the here's the interior of Adirondack. You can see there's buckets of ice here, and just the open top cans. I can't tell which ones have the fry and which ones have fresh water for replacing the deoxygenated water. Most common, as I said, the most common and prevailing myth of fry planting was that a train carrying the fish, pulling the fish car would pause on a bridge over a water course and simply dump the contents out the side door. Planting took place in places remote from the railroad tracks. So here are a couple of messengers with cans of fry, and you can see that the one guy is up to his hips in the water, is just gently decanting the fry into the water course. The wood car that is most commonly known and understood than the one that I first saw a picture of up at Manville Wakefield's studio in Grahamsville was the wood car built by the Gilbert Car Company. That car only survived until the mid-1920s when the New York Railroad Commission banned the operation of wood railroad cars in the tubes in and around the metropolitan New York City. That certainly cut off any access out to Long Island. And so the original Adirondack, built by Gilbert Car Company, was retired, and the New York Conservation Commission contracted with American Car and Foundry for a steel car, Adirondack number 2, that was built at the AC&F former Harlan and Hollingsworth plant in Wilmington, Delaware. And here's the interior of Adirondack 2. Eliminated bunk beds for the messengers, but provided hammock style, just swinging hammock uppers that weren't even as elegant as the Pullman style uppers. And Roscoe, New York, far end of the Sullivan County, very proudly calls itself Trucktown, USA. The upper photo is the Roscoe Depot, as shown in the winter of 1958, just after the rails of the O&W had been lifted. There was a trout weather vane. You can see it here, all very much weathered, and that was for many years lost. Will Sipple always wondered where it was. I think he knew, but he didn't want to say. And so it was finally recovered in recent times. It's now upstairs in the Roscoe O&W Museum across the former right-of-way of the O&W. A local, Paul Ryder Sr., crafted a duplicate. And when I prepared this some while ago and prepared this presentation, I said had crafted a duplicate, which is now on a post by the Roscoe O&W Museum. This afternoon, when the O&W Roscoe Museum people got me on the phone at a lull in my office, I asked them about it, and they knew nothing about the duplicate. So that one may be gone too. I don't know. They didn't know. Wisconsin fish carp badger was the subject of a number of articles, I think, in NRHS publications. Brother Ken Haneke may know more about that than I do, but badger number 2 was is the restored fish car, and it's now up at I don't know the forum.
Mid-Continent Railway Museum in West Freedom or North Freedom or West
Museum. That's where they did the work. So that's where it is. Mid-Continent, that's fine.
Yeah.
And U.S. Fish Commission, Bureau of Fisheries, number 3 is restored. Why or how it wound up, excuse me, in an open storage at Spearfish, South Dakota. But that was the annotation on the back of the print that I got and scanned for this image. So we come full circle, and all of this started with a desire to create a model of the fish car Adirondack after I had seen that kind of grainy photograph that Manville Wakefield. I think he actually included it in the original version of To the Mountains by Rail. My recollection is it's somewhere around page 300 for anybody that has one of the original copies. So here it is. I believe the first load that it carried was April of 1892, and they loaded it at the Cold Spring Harbor hatchery in Huntington, Long Island. And I believe that here it is pulled up against the ice house at Cold Spring Harbor hatchery. So from Brother Ray Breyer, back to the diagram scaled based upon the overall width of 10 feet. And I scaled also the wheel spacing, the spacing of the trucks, manipulated it all with Photoshop and printed it to scale. Printed it to HO scale. I really didn't discern from the photo that the two ends were really different. One with a standard Pullman platform, and then and then with one side, and again, sort of ignoring that without a photograph of that end, I didn't realize that there was a door here. So you could not have the well for standard passenger car steps here. But when I started to build the model, by God, I overlooked that and used these old CalScale castings for the ends. This, when I milled it down to the thickness CalScale casting, the basswood became just too limber. So I backtracked and I used a piece of 1/8-inch model airplane plywood, then laminated some styrene onto the back, and that's the next version B of the ends and the bottom of the car. Interestingly, and going back to here and the full picture, the window arrangement in Fish Car Adirondack were two mutually mirror image sections divided by the loading door on both sides, right in the center. So what I did is good HO scale scratch builders technique. I used my Northwest Sort Line chopper. I crafted a fence so that when I chopped down on it, that I had a bottom edge that was uniform all the way along, and I chopped out the styrene scribe stock, and I knocked it out with a 6mm wood chisel. Then I slid down a Tichy 18-inch work car window. This is the refuse from chopped out of the original slot for the window. I'd slide it down, fuse it all together with MEK, and then trimmed off the top. And then you wind up with two mirror image sides, a letterboard, a Tichy narrow door in between, and fill in the bottom. That's one side. And they actually became very robust when I first did them. They were flippity floppy, and a couple of them even a couple of times one of them even fell apart. But once you get the letterboard on, very good. And here it is stood up, now just roughed out, and you can see the different treatment of the ends. Here's the so-called A end with the center door. Here's the B end, the rear, with the door offset, and then crafting, removing the the CalScale casting, and created a double rung stirrup step, and that's for the far end of the car. And again, there it is, stood up now with just needing a few details, carving off the ends of the letterboards. I got the vents, the clerestory vents in the roof, and it just needs some handrails and a frost gas centerline roof vents for the carburetors, the frost gas carburetors. Frost gas lighting on traditional passenger cars would actually use gasoline, and they use 70 octane casing head gasoline, which rises to the top of any oil well, and it's usually just flared off and burned off. But casing head gasoline was the earliest easy form of gasoline. They would pack it in tanks beneath the car, packed with waste cotton, which was clean cotton, but it was considered textile mill waste because it was fibers that were too short to spin into yarn to weave into cotton cloth. So those would soak them with casing head gasoline and draw it off at about 3 pounds per square inch. And the beauty of it was one charge of casing head gasoline would generally last 100 hours of continuous usage. I really had no idea what the hell color these cars should be, so I sent the image to Brother Bill Schneider, and I said, hey, give me one version in passenger car green. That's it. And I said, give me another version in, at the time the O&W painted their passenger cars, a color that was referred to in the company data as wine. I don't really know what that is any more than anybody knows correctly what passenger car green is. Could be Pullman green. Pennsylvania Railroad used Brunswick green, which is often mistaken for a black, but here's the green, one car. And I posted some pictures on my Facebook page, New York, Ontario, and Western NYO&W Railway Prototype Modeling. And Brother John Forney was enthused enough that he sat down and scratch built his own version of Adirondack, and then sent me this this image workbench photo. I decided that I was going to mellow it a little bit. Here's the car with the correct vestibule end at the A, open platform end, excuse me, at the A end of the car, and the B end of the car, there's the double run stirrup step. Backtrack more than once. And here it is with the carburetor vents, and I'll just sitting. I used mineral brown and Tamiya lacquer, NATO brown mixed with hull red military colors. I just sort of like that. That's the way it is. And who's to say I'm wrong or it's wrong? And here it is. I posed it on my model railroad club layout, and it just happened to have a small building that's very strongly resembled the Huntington, Long Island, Cold Spring Harbor hatchery ice plant. So I posed it there, and that's my current fib. Last thing is fish car Adirondack is very closely identified with the O&W, but it was hauled over a number of other railroads serving the very rural areas of New York State. All of them hauled Adirondack over and about their respective systems. That was New York Central, RW&O, Unadilla Valley. The Adirondack rolled up as much as 50,000 miles of transit during the inland ice out planting season. And over time, there were as many as 70 public and private hatcheries providing planting feedstock to the New York State Fish Commission, or the Conservation Commission, as it was called. And again, Adirondack is often and commonly referred to as the trout car, but its operations including the planting of other species of freshwater fish. Northern pike, I had some correspondence when I had posted in process build photos of my HO scale model on the NYO&W prototype modeling Facebook page, and I got some correspondence from a chap up in Constantia, and he told me that his father rode with the car as they transported northern pike, and I was completely unaware. I'm not really a fisherman. I've done some fly fishing. I've done some trout fishing out in far western Massachusetts, but I was completely unaware that any kind of pike was a preferred game fish, or game fish for catch and consumption. But again, almost any hatchery freshwater game fish could be wound up in the Adirondack for transport and planting in the wild, and that included striped bass, black bass, bluefish, species for regular seasonal planting, not accepting the winter layup at Rhinebeck that was mentioned in the earlier slide, where shad and salmon eggs were stripped from captured laden females for hatching in the fish tanks, in the car, once they got over the embarrassment of ordering the car, but then overspending their budget to begin with. And that, fellows and gals, is the show. Anybody have any questions?
So there's a couple of questions. Dennis King asked where you're from originally, so I'll let you answer that one.
Ask for what?
Where you were from originally?
Oh, Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Okay. And then Pete Putnam asked, or he thought that bluefish might have been saltwater fish, not freshwater.
I understood that there is a freshwater version of bluefish, along with freshwater versions of salmon.
The O scale Lionel aquarium car that was made in the 1950s, you would say that was not a correct representation of a fish car.
It didn't resemble anything.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I mean, game fishing and the depletion of fish stocks, and the concern over the depletion of fish stocks and the renewal of local fish populations by planting goes back to, again, I said shortly after the Civil War. So that was certainly in the era of wood passenger cars, and most of the, you can see from the slides that most of the state and the federal government U.S. Fish Commission cars were not remarkably dissimilar from standard wood passenger cars of the time.
Yeah, I hope you understand Lionel made this aquarium car where the fish go in the circle and they go around the track.
Yeah, it was
okay. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Dennis King wanted to know how he found out about the O&W.
Yeah, Dennis wanted to know how you got interested in the O&W, being from out of state.
So long ago, I cannot remember.
There you go. Very good.
I was always a builder. I make stuff, and yeah, I make stuff all the time. I do woodworking. I have a fine collection of Stanley iron planes back to the teens and 20s. I have restored 3 Indian motorcycles to rideable condition and show-winning quality. I got a shelf in my barn that's just loaded with trophies that I don't know what to do with, and nobody wants them anymore. And my current interest is scratch building O&W double cab locomotives, all the Dixon versions, 280, couple of versions of 280, couple of versions of 260, American Standard, and their switcher version. So I make stuff. And one of the earliest things I made somehow was a Chuck Youngerth had written an article in Railroad Model Craftsman in early fall 1963 about building a 1000 series O&W milk car. And I thought, boy, that's kind of a neat car. And I had some exposure to railroads in rural upstate New York, and it was just a matter of intrigue. I remember reading a little article. They used to have Railroading in the Raw was in Model Railroader, and I'd gotten a back issue from the local bike shop where I bought the magazines at the time, and there was an interesting article written by Al Kambach himself about anybody that wanting to see the NYO&W, and that was in the June 1955 issue of Model Railroader. So that's stuck in my head. That's as much as I can remember.
Oh, Joey Sinisi wants to know when you're going to make an HO scale bull moose.
What? I have 3 that are completed and 2 under construction.
Ask him when is one for me.
Oh, Joey wants one. There you go.
Oh.
There's your answer, Joe. That's your answer. Pete Putman has a few questions here. I'm guessing he's an angler or fish aficionado, but he says
I'm really not an angler. I'm a modeler, and the fish car happened to come across my gun sights. Go ahead.
Well, he does mention that salmon and shad swim in salt water when they're mature, but they spawn in fresh water. So that's an interesting point. He's curious to know when these fish cars went out of service, or when they were actually replaced by trucks.
The original Adirondack #1, as I mentioned, went out of service in 1928. And the Adirondack 2, the steel AC&F car, was retired. It was mothballed in the late 40s, and ultimately the New York Conservation Commission began, as far as I know, and there's a monthly magazine very, very interesting magazine. I got a lot of information from, and it's all available online. But it's the Conservation Commission. I think it's a monthly publication. Maybe at one time it was quarterly, but I understood from that it was about 1952 or 53. They started using tanker trucks and helicopters.
I think that answers another one of his questions about they went out of fashion after World War II. Also mentions hatcheries were built close to streams, particularly the Catskills and the Adirondacks. Other comments about very good job, very interesting. Other questions here in the room. We got one right here. Hold on.
So if you go on Route 17 to Livingston Manor, on the side of the road, you'll see a O&W painted caboose. It's actually an Erie Lackawanna or Erie caboose that was painted to look like an O&W, because O&W never had metal cabooses. But if you follow that road up, it goes along the Weemac Creek. And if you go all the way to the end, there's Beach Mountain Boy Scout Camp, which is now owned by Rockefellers. And then there's the Mongauk Pond campsite, which is very popular for weekend and, campers and that kind of thing. And then there's the DeBruce camp, the DeBruce hatchery, which in the 70s, when I drove past it a bunch of times, it was an environmental conservation camp where in the summertime, teenagers could go and learn about that stuff. I never got to go there, unfortunately, but you could stop during the day. A lot of flies. You catch a fly, you throw it in the water, they jump up. I could never. And by the way, I got lost in front of Wurtsboro. There's a trailer park. I got lost on the road across from the trailer park, and there's a fish hatchery there that the concrete's still there. I don't think it's currently being used, but the one up in DeBruce, I believe that's the one that's called the Catskill Hatchery and still in business, and you can still visit it weekdays. But I could never figure out how do you get the fish to the streams other than, say, the Weemac.
Fish cars.
What was that?
Fish cars.
Bob Rainey here. A couple of years back on New York City public television, there was a television show about the rebuilding of the Wisconsin fish car.
Yeah. It's been on, I think that was PBS, because I saw it on one of the Boston.
Yeah, I saw it on a New York City station.
Yeah, PBS. I think PBS did that.
On the cars, they had the aquarium style tanks. Did they have some dividers in between to help with the sloshing like they would on a modern tank or like a baffle?
I'm sure they were individual. I'm sure they were individual tanks. Might have been freestanding individual tanks, just all fetched up together. I don't really know how they did that.
I don't think the state of New Mexico had a car, did they?
I don't know. Just about everybody did. If there was a place where, if there was an inland freshwater course or a pond, natural or man-made, yeah, they were stocked. They were planted with hatchery fry.
When did they start actually installing those oxygenators?
I think when I really don't know. It was a slowly advancing technology. Whether any kid that's ever had a home aquarium with guppies and swordfish and black mollies, you always have a little air pump and a hose, and it's a highly porous manufactured stone, and it just creates a lot of bubbles that oxygenates the water. When that was developed, I don't know, probably as a part of maybe the hatcheries themselves, or you can just put a hose to sink down to the bottom and let the bubbles rise to the top, or have some kind of screen on the bottom to make a cloud of bubbles. When that happened, I mean, I don't know.
Would these cars actually travel in dedicated service, or would they be added to the rear of a freight train and set out somewhere?
They didn't. Well, at first, the railroads, and I know the O&W in particular, were very accommodating to the transport of the fish car, and they were charging some ridiculous sum, like 3 cents a mile. And they liked the idea because then it was passenger traffic up to Livingston Manor and Roscoe and up into the Catskills in their service area where there were well-stocked watercourses, lakes, ponds, and so forth. At one point or other, they kind of didn't like them because they're rather heavy and they had heavy underframes. They were heavier than the regular wood passenger cars, wood coaches, and so forth. And they kind of didn't like them, and so they would run them perhaps in a dedicated service, maybe running the car alone, perhaps only with a rider coach for other personnel. But the O&W in particular and all the other railroads sooner or later soured on the whole business of the fish cars.
Other questions from the people here?
Thank you.
All right. Well, Mal, this is an excellent presentation.
Peculiar. Peculiar, unusual presentation. Thank you.
Indeed. It was a great presentation. So, well, thank you everybody for joining. Our next meeting will be December 5th, either online or right here in Middletown. So, thank you very much.
And
have a
by
safe
the way, for anybody that's thinking of taking a trip to Springfield, Massachusetts, to the Eastern States Exposition Center, that watch the hobby magazines. I think it's the 28th and 29th of January. It's a 2-day show. If you're planning on going 2 days and you haven't already got your hotel reservation, it's probably too late. So it's up and back. I will be in the Better Living Center, Section 11, where I have been since the 1970s.
Right near Ron's books, correct?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I sometimes borrow borrow the big hand truck from Gene to make a lazy man's trip in the back door.
Yep,
Yeah,
January 24th and 25th.
Yeah,
Yep.
24th and 5th.
I want to mention that anybody who is interested in following Mal and his adventures in model railroading, and not just that, Mal's extensive personal archives on the O&W. If you're on Facebook, it's called NYO&W Railway RY Prototype Modeling, and you can find him on Facebook. He is nearing 1,000 members. We're 25 members away from 1,000. So please join us. There's some fascinating material on that page.
Yep.
Thank you, Ronnie.
All right. And thank you, everyone.
Guys.
Thank
Have
you
a good
for
night.
doing this. All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care. See you guys soon.
Take care, everyone.
So long.